There's a silence that lives inside people who've wanted to give up. It's not loud, it doesn't announce itself, but it's there, in the pauses between conversations, in the glazed over smiles, in the heavy way mornings arrive. It whispers things like, "It'll always be like this. Nothing's going to change. What's the point of trying again?" If that silence has ever visited you, this is not a message to fix you. This is a message to keep you company, to remind you that even when it feels like nothing is working, you're still here, and there's something quietly holy about that. Hope gets talked about like sunlight, warm, obvious, life-giving. But what about when it disappears completely? What do you do when there's no reason to keep going and no proof that it'll get better? You breathe anyways. That's it. Not because it fixes anything, but because something in you deserves to be witnessed, even in the dark. Hopelessness wants you to believe that it's the whole story, but it's just one chapter. And in this chapter, maybe all you can do is survive 5 more minutes. Sit upright, drink some water, cry without judging it. Let the moment pass without trying to rewrite it. That isn't weakness, that's endurance. That's self-respect at rock bottom. And when the world gives you nothing, you get to give yourself a sliver of grace. You're not broken, you're just running low on meaning. And meaning is something you build when nothing around you will offer it to you. When there's no one around to hand you hope, make it quietly, from scratch. Not the kind painted in Pinterest quotes, but the real kind. The kind that whispers, "Maybe I'll stay alive long enough to see how this plays out. Maybe there's a version of me I haven't met yet. Maybe I've been surviving longer than I realized, and that counts for something." You won't always feel it. You don't have to. You just have to remember this. Hope isn't a mood, it's a vote. A vote for something in the future you haven't seen yet. Something no one else can promise. But you might still get to live. And you don't need to believe in it completely. You just need to believe in it enough to keep going. Even if you're crawling. Especially if you're crawling. There is no shame in wanting it all to stop. Sometimes the pain is so thick, so constant, that the idea of rest, real rest, feels like the only way out. If no one else has told you this, that doesn't make you selfish, or dramatic, or ungrateful. It makes you human. Your mind isn't trying to destroy you, it's trying to end the overwhelm. But here's something sacred. You don't have to die to end the pain. What you might have to do is let part of your old life go. The expectations, the people who never truly saw you, the roles you were forced into, the self you outgrew but still perform for others. Sometimes, what feels like the desire to disappear is actually the soul screaming for rebirth. So please, if you're standing on the edge, step back. Not because you're unbreakable, but because there's a version of you still wanting to live, and you deserve to meet them. Hope can feel dangerous. You start to believe again just a little, and suddenly you're terrified that it will all fall apart, that the light you saw will disappear, that trying will hurt worse than staying numb. Let's state the truth. Hope requires vulnerability. It's the emotional equivalent of stepping onto ice and not knowing if it'll crack beneath you. So don't force hope to feel like confidence. Instead, let it feel like experimentation. Try one small thing, reach for one tiny joy, commit to one day of softness. Not because it guarantees a result, but because it tells your brain we're allowed to hope now, even a little. Let your hope grow in the cracks, quiet, imperfect, and slow. And when fear shows up, because it will, respond with, "It's okay. We're learning how to feel safe again." Not all at once, but enough to keep building. It hurts to feel like no one is coming for you. To look around in your hardest season and realize no one is reaching out. No one is saving you. And no one is noticing. It can make you believe that you're not worth saving. But here's a deeper truth. Every time you choose to show up for yourself anyways, every time you cook a small meal, write the hard truths, drag yourself out of bed, name your pain out loud, you become your own rescue. Yes, you deserve support. Yes, someone should have helped you. But in the absence of that, look at what you've managed. You've become the caretaker, the narrator, the wounded, and the healer. That isn't a failure, that's a foundation. Aloneness isn't always abandonment. Sometimes it's the beginning of self-loyalty. And from that loyalty, new people will recognize your frequency. But they'll only find you once you stop waiting to be rescued and start building a home inside yourself. Self-resilience doesn't always look like strength. Sometimes it looks like shaking while you speak your truth, like crying mid-sentence and finishing anyway, like hoping quietly while no one claps. It lives in the most invisible places, the decision to try again after disappointment, the inner refusal to become bitter, the habit of gently redirecting your thoughts before they spiral, the night you didn't give up, not because you felt brave, but because something small in you whispered, "Not yet." Resilience isn't glamorous. It doesn't always earn applause, but it is sacred. And every time you endure something that you thought would break you, you don't become hard. You become deep. You become someone who knows how to walk through fire and still make room for softness. And that, love, is a superpower. There's a moment in pain when your energy feels borrowed, where trying to be your best self is exhausting, where even healing starts to sound like another job. So instead of pushing for more, what if you gave yourself permission to choose less? Less pressure, less performance, less pretending. Resilience doesn't always mean reaching for the biggest dream or the boldest goal. Sometimes it means downsizing your life until it feels livable. Simplifying until all you're responsible for is making it through the day. Choosing the softer response. Listening to yourself without fixing everything all at once. This isn't laziness. It's conservation. It's building a smaller, safer life when the big one gets too loud. And often from that place of gentleness, strength begins to grow again. When life hurts, the first instinct is often escape. Maybe it's through distraction, or numbness, or convincing yourself that the future doesn't matter because nothing will change. But self-resilience is sometimes about learning how to stay, not forever, not in danger, but in discomfort, just long enough to hear what it's teaching you. To stay with that ache and realize, I can survive this feeling. To stay in the moment and say, I don't like this, but I'm not abandoning myself here. To stay curious, even when everything inside screams at you to shut down. Staying isn't punishment, it's presence. And every time you stay, even for just a breath, you loosen the belief that you have to run away to be okay. That's a foundation that no one can take from you. You were probably taught that strength looks like stoicism, silence, grit, holding it together for everyone else. But what if strength is knowing how to fall apart so that you can build something real? What if it's asking for help even when no one responds the way you wish they would? Telling the truth even when it's inconvenient or messy? Letting go of people who loved the idea of you, but not the reality of your needs? What if strength is no longer hiding your tenderness to seem worthy to others? Self-resilience doesn't mean becoming stone. It means becoming honest. Being willing to root your life in truth, even if that means being misunderstood. Because nothing is stronger than someone who's no longer afraid of being seen fully and staying anyways. So, if no one has told you lately, I'm proud of the you who stayed. The you who didn't disappear when no one noticed you were hurting. The you who carried their own shadow through the dark. The you who is tired and tender and still trying. You are not weak. You are not late. You are not beyond healing. You are becoming. And one day, sooner than you think, you'll look back and say, I can't believe I kept going. But you did. Because something in you refused to give up. Still here. Still you. Still becoming.